You're watching LMCC, your community TV.
Good morning and welcome to The Pulse. I'm Jennifer Ray here with Kippy, who is the owner and therapist and horse expert that owns Stable Living. So we're out here to find out exactly what Stable Living is and why it's such an important part in our community and its uniqueness. So Kippy, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell us what Stable Living is and how you actually briefly got it from thought process to having this beautiful, amazing place.
Right. Well, Stable Living has been a culmination of my my whole life coming together, careening towards this dream, really, because I'm a therapist, right, and working towards building stability for people. And I've been in design and marketing most of my life. It just made sense to me to blend, right, stability and stables here with the horses. And so that's how the name came together. But really, again, it's a culmination of my life. I was one of those horse crazy girls, and so that's where my love of horses was born. And it really is what saved me from kind of those tween years of being in between playing, being able to go outside and play, and driving around with my friends and being a teenager. So I just remember a lot of lonely times as a child until I met my friend with horses, and then everything changed. So that's when the love of horses started. And then most of my career I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was a graphic designer. So my world was design, and I helped my mom run a design studio. So I really got a lot of exposure to running a business there, managing people, meeting deadlines, being art director over there. And then when my kids got through, most of them were well on their way through college or in college, I decided it was time for me to go back to school and recreate myself and do something that I was always passionate and loved, which was psychology. So I started on my graduate degree at the University of St. Thomas, and during that whole process thought, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to blend my two loves, psychology and horses. And it turns out it's a thing you can do. You can blend those two.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. I would do my equine work on the side and practice kind of conventional therapy in an office, and always trying to figure my way through how to merge them in a very comprehensive way. And when I did I went to a training called Natural Lifemanship, and that is what tied it together. It's a trauma-focused, equine-assisted program that trains therapists and horse lovers to merge the two worlds. And that's where this dream was really born, was I need to do this, and I need to do it with other therapists that believe in this model and have a passion for helping people heal.
This has been thought to be more children-oriented, but it's actually not. So it can help anyone and everyone. Do you want to discuss that?
Absolutely. I think equine therapy is known to be a model of therapy that children and veterans, I would say, there's a lot of veterans using the model, but predominantly children, right? Children are drawn to horses. It's a way to engage them in therapy, really without them realizing they're in therapy, right? Children, teenagers, they come readily to the program, and they do great work, and they don't feel like they're in the confines of a therapeutic setting that can be really intimidating to kids. But really here at Stable Living, we work on relationships, and the horses help us do that. And we really want to be known for a place that adults can come, couples can come, families can come, and work with the horses to learn about healthy connection.
That's good. Now, obviously, this isn't a free. One of the things that I wanted to go over was a list of the good insurance companies who've actually added this to their options that are available through their health insurance.
Right.
So can we go over the companies that do in fact cover this?
Yep. Most of them that I contract with reimburse for this, which was never the case before. There wasn't evidence behind it yet, and they weren't willing to cover the expense of equine therapy, but now that the evidence is coming in, they're changing their tune about that, and it's still in the works. There's maybe half of the companies will reimburse. So I have a contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they've been wonderful. They support this kind of work. Most of the time, unless it's a union or something plan that's out of the norm of their typical reimbursement policies, Blue Cross will reimburse for it. Medical assistance has opened up this type of therapy in a way that has been so helpful to that population of people that are utilizing medical assistance. The other one that reimburses is UCare, and they've been fantastic. And those are the three that we really use the most for this. And the people that don't have policies with them, they pay us out of pocket, and sometimes they can use their out-of-network benefits.
Well, I think that's wonderful, and I was so happy to hear that because I didn't know before we started talking about it. We wanted to talk about the importance of equine-connected EMDR therapy. What is it? Why is it important? It has to do with this whole stable living concept.
Right. EMDR is a trauma-based protocol that we use, and you have to be highly trained in that model. I'm a certified EMDR therapist, so that's a specialty of mine. It's commonly used for combat vets, people with PTSD. What Natural Lifemanship has done, the model of therapy that we use here, they've developed equine-connected EMDR. So instead of using light bars, EM stands for eye movement, and most people sit in an office and they interact with a machine. They watch the lights, they hold tappers in their hands. What we're doing when we're doing that is we're activating the brain, right? And they process through their trauma. What we do here, instead of using a machine, is we partner with the horses, and they provide the brain stimulation and the connection, right? So we're introducing not only activating the brain, but connection with another living being. So we're always circling back, we're pointing out the connection that they are holding with the horse, and it carries them through the trauma in a way that we cannot do in the office. It's a powerful way to work through developmental trauma or situational trauma. Here we go, both. We encourage people to let go and let the horse regulate the nervous system.
Here we are at Stable Living, and now I have Miss Patty Brown, a fabulous therapist who also specializes in equine therapy. So Patty, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Nice to have you here.
Now, what I wanted specifically you to talk about was there is a two-part process. And so if you can give us the two-part model of the equine therapy, how and why that is so special and why that just goes lengths beyond regular therapy.
Yeah, so the first thing we do is develop connection with the horses. So we take the client out, they meet the horses, and they choose one. And there's different reasons why different people choose different horses. Sometimes the horses choose the client too. And we work on the relationship, and we do a lot of loose work, but the horses are free to make choices because we want the relationship to be as good for the horse as it is for the client.
So what is it that's so special about them? Are they like afraid of the horse at first? Do they warm up?
Not necessarily, but horses are really honest, and they won't come to people that are incongruent. And so the person really has to bring their best self to it, and they have to communicate clearly and really be very observant, because obviously the horse isn't going to talk to them. So they learn to watch for the nonverbal cues, and it develops a sensitivity that serves them well in their relationships in their life too, to be able to help understand moods and what's going on with people.
And then can you give us an example or share a story that I'm sure happens here all the time? So a client comes, they pick a horse, and then they have like this developing relationship. How does that relationship develop? And what like increases over time? The person gets more comfortable with the horse, they can, what exactly happens?
They start in by asking the horse for connection, and ultimately as the relationship builds, those horses will follow them around without any lead rope, and they make a choice. They choose to be in relationship with the person, and it feels good to have this big animal choose them. And sometimes that can be a struggle. Sometimes horses are distracted just like the people in our lives and aren't very relational.
Yeah.
So they have to be persistent, and we use a system of pressure and release, which is consistent with most horse training, but it's a really good model for parenting and other relationships, where if the horse ignores us, we increase the pressure. And by pressure, we're talking about, it's not a negative thing. Pressure is gravity holding us to the earth is pressure. Deadlines are pressure. So we're asking the horse, we apply a little pressure, and if they ignore us, we increase the pressure. We might move a little closer, we might have a louder voice. And we can compare that to parenting, as a mother asks her child to clean their bedroom.
Sure.
If they ignore, the mother's probably going to get closer. She might touch the child.
Yes,
She
right.
might raise her voice, have better eye contact. So those are all things that we can bring into it. If they resist and the horse is kind of making excuses or trying to do something, we keep the pressure the same way as if you were asked to clean your room and you were saying, oh, I have these other things that I have to do. The request would stay the same. So after the person develops a relationship with the horse, we may or may not, depending on the client, but we may move into rhythmic riding, where we put the person on the horse, and the movement of the horse is very calming to the brainstem. That's where we use that for the EMDR that Kippy talked about.
Sure. So that, can you explain a little bit more about the motion of the horse and how that heals in addition to?
It engages all the senses and all the parts of the brain, because our vestibular system has to be very engaged to keep us on the horse. And the rhythm calms the brainstem. That's the first part of the brain that develops, and that's the part that's responsible for fight and flight. And so by calming that, then we can do other activities to engage other parts of the brain. We might help the client tap into what they're feeling. There are people who have no idea what they're feeling at any given time. And we might ask them for some voluntary motor movement that engages another part of the brain. As we move up, the brainstem is the base of it, and then we move up to our voluntary movement, our feelings, and then to our higher thinking, to our neocortex. And by engaging all those different parts while the person is on the horse, we actually will forge new neural pathways. And victims of trauma are very overdeveloped in their brainstem. That's why they react so significantly to new trauma, or even things that might surprise them that looks like trauma briefly.
Sure.
But our hope then is to engage all parts of the brain so that the neocortex can override that fight or flight and bring them down and calm them.
Kippy, how do people reach you out here at Stable Living? I know that you're just outside of Mound, which is a little bit west of Wayzata. So what is the address, phone number, and website that will show the therapists?
Yep. So we're on Game Farm Road, so it's 680 Game Farm Road, very close to County Road 26 in Game Farm. My web address is stableliving.us, and I encourage anybody to call with questions. You can reach me directly at 952-240-1621.
Quite a few therapists here, and you've got a new one that is specializing in children.
Yes, so we're
That's exciting.
very excited. She's just joining us this week, and so we are thrilled to have her here.
Well, Kippy, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks
It's a
so much
pleasure
for
to be
allowing
here.
us to be out here and see your beautiful stables.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Ray. Godspeed until next time. Thanks for watching The Pulse.